Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Gold Mythic Kali, who is going to be an advanced token wheel character coming to RTS. Now we have had a Kali in the game before during the S-Class era. If you remember her, she was an alert character holding a PP Bison with one hand. The animation never got fixed, it was always tilting for me, but visually on this one it looks really nice. The weapon she's holding, she is going to be a tough character, but this looks like a very amped up pistol by the looks of things. But she kind of has tie-ins to other characters that exist in the game. I'll try and let you work out the majority of them, but one of them is a bit too obvious for me to skip over. It's going to be Titan, and she doesn't seem to like this guy. Let's put it this way. The Titan, sort of like in the background as a target, has a hole in the center of the head, so there's the mask in her hand. I'm not sure if that's the actual mask of Titan. We'll have to find out. She looks very angry, but she has some visual tie-ins with another character. Like I say, if anyone can work it out, please leave it in the comments down below. But I like the visuals quite a lot. She looks very angry indeed. Those eyebrows, those lips, that is an angry lady for sure. At level 1,440, limit break 3, she has 14,155 attack. She also has 35,388 defense. And 29,097 HP. She is a tough character. She's going to be a tank, of course a Gold Mythic, and she's going to be joining the Road to Survival Allegiance. Now the first thing I'm going to check out is going to be Kali's Adrenaline Rush, and I will say it's the longest wall of text I think I've ever seen on an Adrenaline Rush for quite some time. It is called Countermeasure. It's a 55 AP cost rush. This character recovers from all debilitating status effects. While on the defense team, deal 10% of this character's defense stat as damage to a line of enemies. In brackets it says strong targets get the same amount in main damage, and then damage roll targets get the same amount in burn damage for 2 turns. So obviously the first part is a full debilitating status effect cleanse. The issue with this is the majority of the debilitating status effects actually stop Kali from doing her rush. If she's taunted, confused, stunned, or impaired, she actually cannot rush at all unless she has focus, which will bypass, confuse, and taunt. This is mainly seemingly to cleanse, normalize before she does her rush, so that it obviously will take into account her specialist skill, or to cleanse days so that she can obviously do her signature move after doing her rush. It isn't too good against the majority of debilitating status effects. But the second part is kind of interesting. I believe the way this is going to work is going to be completely stacked damage against that line of enemies. Now what I mean by that is, when she does this against a line of enemies, it will do 10% of her defense stat as damage to that line of enemies, but if they're also strong, they'll also take that same amount of damage again in main damage. And then if they're also a damage roll character, they'll also take that same amount of damage again in burn damage. It's not going to attack every strong character on the enemy team or every damage roll character on the enemy team. It's still going to only attack that line, and it's just going to stack the damage up based on what they are. Damage roll, strong character, so on and so forth. What I'm going to do to test this out, I'm going to create a actual line of strong characters in a team. And I'm going to make Kali's defense as low as possible just so she doesn't one-shot that line. And that way we get to see the stacked effects on that line. Okay, so here we have the Adrenaline Rush of Kali. And as you can see, I have got a line of strong characters. I am going to have one damage roll character and one non-damage roll character, just so you can see the difference in what happens based on the rolls as well. What will happen is she'll rush that line. Someone will get damage taken based on her defense. I've given her an attack weapon, so she's not going to do much damage. I'll do it again just to show you it with more defense, just so you can see. But we'll defend on Titan, and you'll just see like the base happening. As you can see, she takes damage, takes main damage, and we also have burn on Titan here. The more defense she has, the more this is going to do. It's going to be 10% of her defense, and as you can see, it's 3,539, which is 10% of her base defense. You can get someone with 35,000 defense up to 80 to 100,000 defense based on the lead that they're with without too much problem. So you'll be doing like 10,000 initial damage, which can't be negated because it's just based on her defense, then 10,000 main, 10,000 burn, and then obviously that burn can take out the character, and then just go around the enemy team. Okay, so here we have the Adrenaline Rush again of Kali, and she should rush the line of strong characters. I used Alpha as a lead just so I could daze her, just so we could more focus on the Adrenaline Rush now. Priya's going to rush as well, unfortunately. Maybe I can stun Priya. Let's see if that works. But if I can stun Priya, that'd be nice. There we go. The rush is going to come in from Kali. And now it's going to do 8,300 damage on the main. 8,300 damage base. And then 8,300 damage burn. This will take out my characters over a period of time. So we'll just hit the defend action. We'll see some kills come in from other things on people's kits. And the burn will start rotating around the team. The main damage cannot be healed. And if she gets a defense buff when she does this, so for instance, if someone gives her a 20% defense buff, a 50% defense buff, this is going to amplify the damage that she's going to do with this even further. Now we'll check out Kali's upgrades on her Adrenaline Rush, and you can see at grade 3, while on a defense team, deal 10% of this character's defense stat as damage to a line of enemies. Then at grade 5, it upgrades that, where if they're strong, they also get the same amount of damage in main damage. And at LB2, it upgrades it again, where if they're also damage roll characters, they get the same amount of damage as burn damage for 2 turns. So it's basically just increasing the potential of that rush with every single upgrade. Grade 3, grade 5, and LB2. Now, I think this rush is interesting, especially if you do get her in a team where she's going to have defense buff. If you use her in a heavy alert team and use an alert blast weapon or that nice Carl pistol where it gives 20% defense for every alert character, she could have an 80% defense buff with that pistol, and that's going to drastically increase that damage output. She could potentially one-shot those characters in that line, and that burn should automatically just bypass onto the leader character with huge amounts of damage. Remember, attack team characters don't generally have high HP stats. This is going to potentially bypass some of that, with the bonus HP not going to be a problem because of the maim and the burn. The initial damage that she does, but based on her own defense, does hit bonus HP. That is worth noting, but again, most attack team characters maybe have between 18 and 23k HP. And again, it's worth noting that any character she takes out instantly on this Adrenaline Rush is going to be down for the count based on her specialist skill and the fact that she does cleanse before she does the rush. She can never be normalized, so that's worth noting. She's always going to decap when she does this Adrenaline Rush if she takes someone out. Now next up, we're going to look at Kali's signature move, and it is called Designated Trap. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 1, cooldown of 2 turns, number of uses unlimited. All strong enemies get minus 50% attack for the rest of combat. Deal 25% of this character's defense stat as damage to an enemy. This is very problematic for strong characters. Obviously, you can get around this by using no strong characters in teams against her, but then you could team her up with a full fast team, and that fast team is going to be pretty happy with that. They're going to have no issues with strong characters attacking them, and then you could potentially mod that team based on the fact that Kali's there, because you won't necessarily have to do defense versus strong. That's actually kind of interesting. For the rest of combat as well on that buff, it could potentially build a full 5-team setup that actually gets that debuff. That's nuts. The defense stat, again, it can take into account defense buffs, so on and so forth. Just worth noting, 25% of her defense on base is around about 8,500 to 9,000. But when she gets all the boosts from leader skill, weapon, mods, it isn't too hard to get 85 to 100,000. Again, like I say, 20%, 50%, 80% buff on top, and very few characters realistically are going to be able to survive that. This cannot be negated by defense stat either, so it would just go straight against bonus HP and HP on the enemy. Okay, so here we are attacking a team, and Kali here is on defense. She's going to use her signature move straight away. She's going to go for Titan. He's going to get taken out with 27k damage, and obviously the stuff on top, Titan is down for the count. But the rest of my team are 50% attack down for the rest of combat. This is obviously very problematic when it comes to percentage damage dealers, and a lot of the strong, characters out there that are good are percentage damage dealers. Some of the heaviest hitting characters out there. Now, keen-eyed viewers might have noticed that she did have a 50% defense buff in that clip, And well, we'll get into that a little bit later in the video. If we look at the upgrades on this signature move, you can see at grade 2, she does an additional minus 20% attack to all those enemies. So initially it is going to be minus 30% and it will go up to minus 50%. Then at grade 4, it will get an upgrade where it deals 15% of this character's defense stat as damage to an enemy. And then at LB1, it will get boosted up to 25% of her defense stat as damage to an enemy. Then at LB3, it gets -1 to starting cooldown, where it will go to a turn 1 signature move. And I'd say, honestly, that is very important just because you want to limit the attack potential of the attack team as early as possible in the fight. It's going to make attacking with strong characters very problematic. And like I say, if you team her up with fast characters, those fast characters are going to be very happy teammates, that's for sure. Now, before we move on to Kali's passives, we are going to be doing a giveaway. As Kali is an advanced token character, we're going to be doing a giveaway for advanced tokens. 10,000 advanced tokens to the winner, 5,000 to 2 runners-up, and all you have to do is type in the comments down below as part of a sentence the word revenge, because I think Kali is trying to get revenge on Titan for some reason or another. If you have any thoughts on what that revenge could revolve around, again, let me know in the comments down below. Best of luck if you do enter the giveaway. Now back to the video. So next up, we're going to check out Kali's mythic abilities. These are her passive skills. First up, she has strength because she is a tank, where she gets 40% critical hit resistance. Next up is unfazed, where she gets 60% resistance to debilitating status effects. Now this does say plus 60% resistances, so it might stack with mods. They don't normally, so what I'll do is I will give her a particular mod to see if she gets immunity against that effect. It will pop up with the word immunity above her head if she is fully immune, and it will pop up with the word resist if she just resisted it. We'll see later on the little clip on these passives. Next up is second guess. When being targeted by an adrenaline rush, 50% chance that enemy gets normalized for 2 turns. This is actually pretty interesting because she'll actually make this go off before she takes the damage. So effectively she could normalize someone who would effectively decap her, or she could normalize someone that would get a follow-up or something like this. Next up is very interesting one called mutual support. This character takes 20% reduced adrenaline rush damage for each living teammate. This does mean if she has a full team alive with her, she'll have effectively absolute defense against adrenaline rushes because she'll take that decreased damage. 20% times 5 equals 100% reduction. If she's the last character alive, she'll always reduce adrenaline rush damage by 20%. It looks like Kali potentially is going to be quite hard to take out early on in the fight, which means she's got a better chance to get things like her adrenaline rush off. Okay, so here we are attacking this team, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and daze Kali straight away. Now, I have put a daze resist mod on her and added with her passive, it would go to over 100%. This is to see if it is an additive. I'm pretty sure it's not because it doesn't normally work like this. But if it is, it's potentially crazy. We want to see if it says the word immunity or if it says the word resist. I see it and it said resist. So it does not stack together, but she gets 60% resist to every single debilitating status effect. This does mean that you could go for a particular debilitating status effect that you want to protect yourself against in her mods. Or you could go for actually a non-debilitating status effect and, you know, give her some sort of resist elsewhere, like bleed or burn or something, whichever you find to be problematic. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Crag here his adrenaline rush. Now, if I rush her, she should take significant damage, but because we've got the entire team alive, I believe it's just going to say 0. Rush comes in. Takes 0 damage. She did have a 60% chance to resist that confuse as well, but it didn't happen. But she can't be taken out early on in the fight. If I was to take out 1 or 2 other characters, it would still do reduced damage on that adrenaline rush. Now looking at the upgrades on her passives, you can see a grade 1, she gets the first half of Unfazed, where she gets 20% resistance to all debilitating status effects. At grade 2, she gets 20% critical hit resistance. At grade 3, she gets a further 40%, making it 60% total resistance to debilitating status effects. Then at grade 4, she's going to get the first half of Second Guess. When being targeted by an adrenaline rush, she has a 20% chance that that character is going to be normalized for 2 turns. And at grade 5, she gets the first half of Mutual Support. This character takes 10% reduced adrenaline rush damage for each living teammate. Then we move on to the limit breaks, and you can see at limit break 1, she gets the second half of Strength, making it 40% critical hit resistance total. At limit break 2, she gets the second half of Second Guess, making it a 50% total chance that she'll normalize enemies when she is targeted by their adrenaline rush. And at limit break 3, she'll get the second half of Mutual Support, making it 20% reduced adrenaline rush damage for each living teammate. The passives here on Kali seem to be the kind of like icing on the cake for this character. She has a pretty nice rush, she has a pretty nice signature move, but her passives are going to make it so that those things are more likely to actually occur. She's going to survive a little bit longer in the fight particularly because of Mutual Support, no adrenaline rush damage, normalized potential, maybe slow down attack teams. Strong characters are going to be out of the loop. It's very interesting. I like the kind of mix up on her passives. We don't normally see this sort of thing, so it is kind of nice to see. Now next up, I will just touch on Kali's specialist skill, and it is Decap. When this character lands the killing blow on a target, that target cannot be revived. Now she can't realistically be normalized for Adrenaline Rush because she can cleanse it before it happens, so any takedowns on the initial damage with her Adrenaline Rush will always result in decaps, but she can potentially be normalized outside of it, but she has got a 60% resist within her passives, so you know, a lot of the time she's going to be able to decap people with even her signature move. Once characters are decapped, they're down for the rest of the fight. It's going to make attack teams a little bit harder. I know like some people like to use Vance on attack. It's going to make it a little bit harder against those slow and steady attack teams. Now next up is Kali's attached weapon, and it does look quite interesting. Kali's robust modded pistol. It has a 40% defense base, 40% HP base, bonus defense, 40% defense when being attacked by enemies with more than 50% HP, and in the last slot it has improved Stonewall. This character gets 50% defense at the start of each wave for 2 turns. This character's defense cannot be reduced. This is actually pretty good for Kali because she's going to boost the amount of damage she's going to do on that first turn signature move, and it potentially could boost the rush damage if she gets an early rush on turn 3 based on getting AP from teammates, taking damage, command, so on and so forth. Now you might want to change out the 3rd slot for impair on defense. That part is pretty much up to you, but I think this is actually a pretty good weapon for Kali, and visually it does look nice indeed. Although it is maybe a little bit questionable that it is a tough weapon. I'm not so sure about that. So this was just a little first look at Gold Mythic Kali, and she does look quite interesting for a defense team. Like I said, you could put her in a team with fast characters to protect them. You could put her in a team with alert characters to buff Kali. There are a couple of ways to go here. She is going to be a character on the advanced token wheel. Best of luck if you enter the giveaway on this video, guys. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.